Hey guys, this is Trevor here with the Service Contractor Allstar Podcast. Again, we're brought to you by Motion Ops. Thanks so much for joining. Got another fired up episode here. Very excited. We got Matthew Efird joining us, and we're very excited to have you on the show. We've actually known you now for a little while. Keep running each other events, and I love hearing your story every single time that we chat. And we finally were able to make this happen to have you join. So thanks so much, Matt, for joining us here on the podcast.
Yeah, of course, Trevor, man. I'm. It's truly my honor. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the work that y'all are doing, and it's truly a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you. And you got your own podcast. We'll dive into that a little bit, but I think we jam out a lot of really cool things here. So, just for a quick little bio on Matt, guys, he is the founder and CEO of Lighting Pros, which is an outdoor lighting company specializing in Christmas lights and Christmas decorations. Also owner of Mosquito Joe location in North Georgia. Also the founder of the podcast Pillars of Purpose. So thanks so much for joining. And who knows, you're probably involved in a bunch of other things as well too, but that's what I am aware of. So, but yeah, Matt, thank you for being here. Yeah, just as quick intro, obviously I gave a quick little background about yourself. Can you give our listeners a quick little background about who you are, what you're doing, what you're up to, all that good stuff?
Sure. Yeah, man. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to share. Matthew Efird, unapologetically a follower of Jesus Christ, and I had the opportunity to be in a few organizations. Graduated from University of Georgia, go Dogs. Got into hospital pharmacy sales, did that for a long time, and really felt called into business ownership. Was doing some research, prayed about that with my wife for about a year or so with a mentor of mine. Came across Mosquito Joe, outdoor pest control company. Tried the service. I called about 100 owners around the country that already had existing franchises, asked them like, hey, the good, the bad, the ugly, what do you like about it? What do you not? And bought some territories as an area developer in 2017. And then the end of 2017 actually took over a closing franchise that was it was a neighboring territory that I'd purchased, and relaunched that in 2018. And then in the fall of 2018, started Lighting Pros with the intention of what do we do with our staff in the off season?
Yeah.
And really when we started, the intention was, how do I keep my staff employed all year, right? How do I build a team that I can provide quality labor to, quality hours to, and actually build a recurring staff model that served both businesses. For us here in the North Georgia area, Christmas lights was an easy fit. We have about 12 weeks that we don't spray for outdoor pests here in North Georgia. And that's the perfect kind of 12-week window, 10-week window of when we install lights.
That's great.
And so great solution for us. That business really took off. And when we first started, it was, hey, how can my Lighting Pros franchise support my Mosquito Joe? Or how can my Lighting Pros business support my Mosquito Joe franchise? And then a few years in, it actually kind of flipped on its head. And it's, hey, how does my Mosquito Joe franchise support my Lighting Pros business? And then we started getting calls from other owners, other folks that were kind of following on with our story, saying, hey, how are you doing this? We see you getting success. We got to win some awards, which were fun. And what are you doing? How are you doing this? And we really started putting together kind of looking at our system internally and saying, hey, do we have something that we could go to market from a franchise standpoint as a franchisor, right? I have the experience of franchisee. With that experience, can I create a system that would help other seasonal business owners like myself solve their, what we call the winter blues? And we started building that system in 2022. We took about a year and a half to truly build out our systems, test our systems, help some other folks launch their Christmas lights business at the time, just Christmas lights, and give us feedback on the system, go through all the legal hoopla, and then officially launched offering territories in 2024. And we currently have 5 territories with 5 more coming on in the next few months, which is super exciting.
That's amazing. So there's a lot I want to dissect here, if that's okay. So
Yeah, of course.
one thing you said, you got your start in, I don't know if it was medical device or what sort of medical sales it was, but you cut your teeth, it sounds like, in medical sales. And maybe if you want to talk a little bit about that, and then it's interesting because I got my start in sales and then transition to ownership. There's a little bit of a learner's curve, but I feel like that background in sales definitely helps a lot when you actually go into becoming a business owner. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. So for me, I was very blessed. The owners that I got to be a part of, one of the owners of the co-founders of this pharmacy management company that I was with, he and I went to church together, and they were growing. They were looking for a sales team. They had not had a sales team. They were looking to bring somebody on in that capacity to kind of build a team. And I said, "Yeah, I'll try that. I'm more than happy to try it." And did that for several years. What I learned in that was a couple of things, of many. Their sales process is about 18 months typically.
Yep.
And so filling that pipeline, what was super challenging, right? Especially on the front end, getting those little wins, being able to celebrate things along the way helped me a lot where it wasn't the immediate success. I opened Mosquito Joe, and the first year we signed up like 500 customers, and it was 90+% of them close on the day that they call. So very different perspective, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, it's different. But what it did was it gave me, maybe gumption might be the best word of,
Yeah.
I see this vision of where I want to go, and I'm going to keep moving forward in that, and towards that vision, and towards this mission that I have of serving families to create outdoor memories, and having some stick to it with that. Hospital pharmacy sales, super political in a lot of ways, which is what it is. A lot of travel involved in that, meeting face to face with folks. And really what I learned in that, kind of cutting my teeth to that, is having a better perspective of, I can't be all things to all people. And so, not to throw rocks at anybody at the company, but there were, at times, they were trying to be all things to all people, and I felt like it hurt them in many ways. And so, when I started my companies, I became super focused around who's the best people we can serve, and then started saying no to other people, and just started fine tuning our marketing messaging to these type people, these type clients. They're going to be the ones that we can best serve. And so many times, mistakes that I've made along the way have typically been around this idea of, I know this is not the right customer for me, but man, that dollar figure looks good. And as a salesman at heart, I want to close that sale.
Yep.
And then operationally, we struggle.
Yeah.
And so there's this really big rub that I learned initially at the pharmacy company, and then within my organization, is the better our sales do, the harder our operations are. The worse our sales do, typically the easier our operations are. So there's always a rub there. And by having the background in sales, by leading the organization, I'm able to help kind of marry those two groups together to help them see that a rising tide rises all ships. The better that we do collectively, the better we all do.
Yeah, I love that. You call it gumption. I like to look at it as grit, but sales definitely teaches you a lot of stick-to-itiveness, and, really owning a business, that's what it's about, right? Like, so they always talk about the guy that was digging and he stopped, whatever it was, 6 inches from gold, digging some gold, stopped 6 inches from it. Like, I feel like a lot of business owners are like that. It's like you give up, but, I don't know. I would just say I'm successful because I'm too darn stubborn to give up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just too
Yeah,
stubborn.
I totally agree. Yeah, I just always had this belief, call it rose-colored glasses, call it eternal optimist, as a man of faith. I just believe that the future is going to be bright, and I believe in what we're doing, and I know the transformation it can provide, and so I'm just unapologetic about that. I just am. And so I know when we find in within our target demographic, that right target demographic, I know I can help transform their life. And so I'm just unapologetic about sharing that message and teaching our team to share that message.
It's awesome. I love it. Now, you've been able to do something that I think a lot of people really dig, and I love you. I love the idea of you actually creating something to solve your own problem, which is how to keep my people busy. And now you have this booming thing, which is a Christmas lights and Christmas decoration thing, which is awesome. but you've been able to create a franchise. And I think a lot of our listeners, sooner or later, they've thought about, or in the past, they thought about, man, it'd be cool to go start a franchise and everything else. But they always hear, oh, it's complicated. Oh, there's legal hoopla you got to deal with. And there's all these different things. But I mean, from your perspective, are you big? I'm guessing you're a big proponent of franchises and franchisors, but like, there's always like, oh, it's good, it's bad. There's always that argument and debate, right? Like, what's your perspective on it? How's it been for you? What advice can you give our listeners about starting something? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. We had just launched ours, and I had a meeting with somebody that started a restaurant franchise. They've not been on my podcast. That I don't want to publicly say it because I don't want to throw any shade towards them.
Yeah.
But he looked at me and said, "If I could do it again, I would not do a franchise." And they are super successful, like
Interesting.
billion-dollar valuation successful. And I was kind of floored that
Yeah.
he said that. Now there's some nuance to that conversation that may not be appropriate for this context, but for me, I love franchising. And when I first started, the reason I started both businesses was I really cared about investing in our team. And I really felt called to invest in our staff and our team. And what has happened is this new perspective in the franchising space is giving me a new team to invest in. And so really me as the operator, I wear a very different hat when I step into franchisor mode, right? I'm not leading my team. I'm coaching another owner.
Yep.
It's not an employee. It is a business partner in some sense. You got to be very careful in the vetting process of who you allow into the family. And one thing that we have found is a lot of times people want to come in because of the success that you've experienced, and then they want to be rove mavericks and go out and do their own thing. And I'm like, you bought into this playbook because you wanted the playbook.
Yeah.
Why don't you run the playbook first?
Yep.
There's a proven model. We've proven the successfulness of this model. Let's run that first. So you see that in all franchising world. We see that in Mosquito Joe world, right? Owners will come in, they see the successful ones. They're like, I'm going to come in and change the game. It's like, well, why don't you just start your own business? Because there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if you want the support, if you want the blood, sweat, and tears that have been put into this, if you want the branding, if you want the economies of scale, if you want the leveraging, the network as a whole, if you want all those added benefits, then let's do this together. But if you're looking at buying a franchise, you've got to look at it as and for the part of, do you want to be a part of a system or do you want to do your own thing? And you got to have a very genuine conversation with yourself on that.
Yeah.
And then if you're looking to create a system, you've got to ask yourself, how much of my system in my business is reliant on me?
Yep.
When I speak, the most recent conference you and I were at together, I had the opportunity to speak at. And one of the things I share is if your business does not work without you, you don't have a business, you have a job. And that's a hard truth, but it is true.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking to franchise your business, you've got to take a hard look at how much of this organization is reliant upon yourself, because that is the thing that you cannot immediately duplicate within a franchise system. You've got to create a system that someone else can step into and find success and find it faster than they can find it on their own. So what I like to tell potential clients is we're going to help you go further faster. That's our goal as a franchisor. Help you be successful, give you the proven playbook, and help you go further faster.
What states are you guys in right now? Mostly Georgia? Or you guys outside of Georgia right now?
Yeah, so we're focused in Georgia right now. The big thing for us, again, the salesmen and the operations, right? Really working with our leadership team, working with my board of advisors. I don't want to outpunt our coverage. When we first kind of launched, we had 15, almost 20 under review.
Wow.
And it was great. And I was like, this is incredible. We're going to explode. And I just through prayer and counsel really dialed that back and said, hey, let's take a step back. Let's make sure we can walk. Let's make sure we can walk before we run, right? We crawl, we walk, we run, we sprint. Before we do that kind of growth, which I love to have growth, I want to make sure that we are successful with all of our locations, because what typically happens within a franchise system is they see this big explosive growth, and then 3 to 5 years later, they have this gigantic drop off because they have all these franchises that they awarded that they can't properly support, that they start being unsuccessful and they start going out of business.
Yeah. That's great. And yeah, so you're at 5, but you got 5 more in the pipeline right now, right?
Yeah, so we're going as far north as like New Jersey area and as far west as Colorado,
Okay. Great.
and then we're going to be throughout the Southeast.
I love it. It's amazing. Now, with your franchises, you talk about how they're your partners. These franchisees are your partners, and you see them as a partner, and your main goal is you want to coach them, mentor them, and help them, run the playbook. So, for you as a franchisor, what are some of the key things you're looking for from like a KPI perspective to help these franchisees run? Is it their revenue, the revenue growth? Is it their close rates? Like, what are the things that you're looking to kind of help dial in to help them to be successful?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. We look at a myriad of KPIs. Some of the most important for us within this organization, kind of a lead indicators, are our close rate and our referral rate. Those two things we've kind of dialed in from the perspective of where are we getting the leads from, the clients from, and then more of kind of a lag indicator that we really take a hard look at on ourselves and our business is our renewal rate. And so within the lighting business, the thing that is dramatic is your renewal.
Oh yeah.
So
100%.
the recurring revenue is dramatic to your bottom line. And so really helping coach our franchisees on the way they're positioning their services, their messaging, of the way that they're interacting with those clients, right? As an organization, we serve about 86% commercial.
Oh,
And so that is a niche for us. That's a unique piece of our business.
probably a lot of high ticket
Um,
items though, huh?
Definitely. Yeah. Our average job is over $10,000. And so
Wow.
that kind of skill set, that takes some unique messaging, that takes some coaching, that takes some emphasis on our team of getting them into that mindset of serving those people. One of the things that I love so much about the conference we were just at, Marcus Sheridan, becoming obsessed with your client, becoming obsessed with what their asks are, what they ask you answer, right? This idea of instead of telling them what they want, figuring out what they actually want. And so for us, it's been in that perspective of how can we best serve these business owners to help their business be more successful, and positioning our messaging, positioning our services, positioning our post-service follow-up, in-service maintenance, post-service takedown, preseason sign-up, all of that messaging being the support of them. And that's allowed us to stay in the high 80s to low 90s in our retention rate.
That's great. I love it. Now, there's different models in lighting. Now, you're doing more commercial than residential, but I know they do like the labor only model where you're just paying for the labor to install it. There's some models where it's like the ownership model, the rental model. Like, what sort of model do you guys train your franchisees in?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The thing that we have found works the best is what we call a leasing model.
Yep.
And the reason that we do a leasing model is because, again, we're trying to be obsessed with our client.
Yep.
And our client, at the end of the day, runs a business, and they don't want to have to deal with anything about their commercial decorations. They want a turnkey solution. So this is the most turnkey solution that we can offer them. We can offer them a guaranteed display with a steady budgeted line item within their P&L, that they get a great display. They don't have to ever buy anything. They don't ever have to maintenance anything, take down, or store anything. We manage every bit of that for them. Every single year they have the flexibility, and we encourage them. Let's make changes. Let's update your design when new technology comes out. So a handful of years ago, a new technology in the bulb space came out. We upgraded all of our inventory, every single bit of it. Our clients never even knew that. We just went ahead and did that. If we had sold material, that makes it really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Within our space, we rotate through, just kind of in some of the nuts and bolts, like we rotate through a portion of our inventory, a chunk of our inventory every year.
Oh yeah.
Because when we're working with the Ritz-Carlton, I don't care these have had a year of burn on them or 2 years of burn on them. We're going to give them quality materials, right?
Yeah.
We're working with Chick-fil-A, like they're going to get quality materials to ensure the standard that they set for their clients, the folks that they serve, they expect that of us.
And your franchisees, when they store these lights, where are they storing them typically? Like warehouses or, storage
Yeah,
units?
warehouse is great. Storage unit's fun.
Yeah.
There's kind of we as part of our system, we show them how to diagram, properly store, care for their materials, right? It's an investment, and your materials are a big investment in the long-term success of your organization.
Yep.
And so you got to take care of them. You got to install them correctly. You got to maintenance them correctly during the season. You got to take them down correctly whenever you do take them down. And then you've obviously got to prepare them and store them in a very specific manner that doesn't take up too much space, but also extends the life of those materials.
So, Matt, can you walk us through a little bit as far as just the legal setup, the legal structure goes to be able to set up a franchise? You always hear it's just kind of crazy. It's pretty involved, but maybe you could shed some light for our listeners.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, Trevor. I appreciate that. That was a big hurdle that I personally was concerned with, right? I remember going through it on the Mosquito Joe side as a franchisee. But I have a dear friend who is a law firm. They're massive. They have hundreds and hundreds of partners within his organization. And I know him personally, called him up and said, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. What advice would you have?" And the piece of advice he gave me was, whoever you go with, obviously we'd love for you to work with our firm, but whoever you go with, ensure that this is the only type of law that they do, right? That this is not, they're your local lawyer and they're going to figure out how to do your legal document, the FDD, franchise disclosure document.
Type of law, right?
Right.
You can mess it up.
Yeah, it's a very hyper specialized. And so Joel put me in touch with his franchising team, and the head of their team, Miss Deb, and her team. They kind of walked us through the process, right? So we had taken 12 to 18 months of prep work beforehand, and then we came to the table with her, and because we had done a bunch of work on the front end, we were able to expedite the process with her. And as we worked with her, because this is the only type of law she's done throughout her entire career, because this is the only type of law her entire team does, she was able to help guide us in the legal side of it and help me think through potential issues down the road.
That's great.
Right? How does the franchisee exit the organization? What kind of standards do you hold themselves to? What kind of standards do you hold yourself to? Right? The franchise agreement and the franchise disclosure document, FA and FDD, really what it's laying out is, within an organization, specifically in a franchise relationship, what you're looking to say is, what are my responsibilities as the franchisor, and what are your responsibilities as a franchisee? And let's make sure we're super, super clear about that. Because if we're not clear about it, we're going to have issues down the road. But on the front end, let's clarify some of those potential issues. And that way we can move forward in a lot of clarity and help support each other. Because the better that our franchisees do, right, the better that I do, the better that my franchise system does.
That's awesome. Now, something that's really interesting is I feel like no matter what we do in business, we're almost always recruiting, right? You got to recruit people to recruit into what you're doing. How do you go about recruiting franchisees to join and come build with you? How do you do that? How do you?
Yeah, it's a
How do you find
fantastic question. So we've done that in a few different ways, right? That's part of the reason I launched our podcast, right? Pillars of Purpose, talk about faith, family, and business, just as a way to help communicate my message as the owner, as the founder, for folks to get accustomed to me, right? To get into this space of, this is what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. That's been very helpful. It's leveraging our network. We have chosen as of now to not go the franchise consultant route. There are just too many horror stories of not evaluating people well enough. That has worked for a bunch of organizations. But again, my goal is sustainable quality growth, not just explosive growth.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to build something that matters. And so leveraging the podcast, which has been great. And then we have a team that's actively out recruiting, calling, scheduling meetings, doing those things with our target audience, right? So we've tried to really get focused down, just like we did in Mosquito Joe, just like we did in our local Lighting Pros operations. We have 2 avatars that we look for, Mitch and Joe. Joe's a seasonal business owner, landscaper, pressure washer, window cleaner, potentially roofer, outdoor pest control. He's got winter blues is what we call them. We've got a solution for him. And Mitch is a portfolio investor or a entrepreneur. And Mitch is looking to make the leap into business ownership. And so the 3 service lines that we offer in Lighting Pros are permanent outdoor lighting for holiday lights, permanent landscape lighting, and temporary Christmas lights. So this business, we actually do operate year round.
Great.
We have a seasonal solution for Joe, and we have a year-round solution for Mitch. And so really being able to offer those 2 things, clarifying for our organization, has helped us a lot.
That's great. So that's good though. You have transitioned from just a seasonal franchise model to now it's actually year round by doing the permanent lighting and everything else, right? So landscape lighting. It's great. Um, so what sort of ongoing support, coaching, training, like what sort of resources are you offering these franchisees? Like, how does that look from a systematic perspective? It's one thing to say, hey, we've got this business, but it's another thing to help people actually understand the business and understand what they need to do on a day-to-day basis. So, yeah. So what support do you have for them?
Great question. It really starts with our pre-training. So we have an entire playbook that we follow from the time that they sign their agreement until the time they come in person to training. We have some metrics that they have to hit before we schedule them to come to training. There's some videos that they got to watch. There's some work that they have to do on the front end to come prepared for our in-person training. We do a week-long in-person training at our corporate office in Jefferson, and we're working on a lot of the nuts and bolts of the type of work that we're doing, how to do it in an appropriate way, how to do it in a safe way, our marketing messaging, the CRM system that we use, the way that we market, those nuts and bolts basics from there. And then once they leave that training, they have a 90-day quick start guide that we immediately put them into. And so every week we have certain metrics that we're striving to hit as an organization of this is this week's goals. Did we hit them or not? What do we need to do? Do we need to push this, prolong this out and delay your start? Or are you going to be on time for your anticipated start date? And then from there, we do, weekly conference calls where they're working together. Really one of the values that we find, so on the Mosquito Joe side, right, there's an incredible network of franchisees that share best practices.
That's great.
So what's fun in the home services space is when you have a defined territory, your local neighboring territory franchise owners are not your competitors. They're actually supporting you. So if you think about it, call it McDonald's, right? Local McDonald's franchise owners will compete with each other because you can drive 10 minutes down the road and go to another McDonald's.
Yep.
When you're serving in the home services space, right, you're serving homeowners. And unless they move out of your territory, you're able to service them year over year over year. Same thing for the business owners. But what we have seen is a rising tide rises all ships, right? Because I may be providing them great service at their home in my territory. And because I'm doing a great job, they also sign up their business in your territory or vice versa. You're doing a great job at their home or their business, and they sign up their other location in our territory. So really trying to provide some collaboration there. And then as we continue to scale, it's the annual conferences, right? We bring in speakers, we bring in best practices, continue training from there. It's really how do we continue to help support them along the way? And then all of our owners have my number, and it's, hey, call me.
Yeah.
If there's anything that I can do, call me. And I want to be here for your success because your success equals my success. And so our leadership team, they have everybody's cell phone number, and we regularly check in, and it's, hey, how can we do this better? How can we continue to grow? Right. All of our early franchisees after our first year, I sat down with all of them and said, hey, tell me the good, the bad, the ugly. What did we do well? What did we not do well? How can we continue to get better? Because we're going to continue to add more locations. How can we serve them better? really taking that mentality of one of our core values is share growth, be better today than we were yesterday, right? So how can we continue to improve upon the work that we're doing, the system that we're building, the way that we're supporting?
That's great. And I love that you're so open or receptive to feedback and give and take, right? Sometimes the franchisors are very like domineering, like this is what it is. But I think the best way to create an enduring, great organization is to be very open for feedback, right? So,
Totally agree. Yeah, our first core value is F for feedback.
great.
We say if you ain't first, you're last. Feedback, integrity, respect, share growth, teamwork.
I love it.
And so we give and receive accountability, which is feedback. And that starts with me, right? And I've got to be modeling that for my leadership team, for my organization, for all the franchisees, right? If I'm not modeling that, then how ever can I hold their feet to the fire? And except for me coming in as a domineering, like, hey, you signed this contract and we're going to hold you to this, or we're going to take it away from you. That doesn't create a good working relationship.
Yeah. So something interesting, Matt. Great thing about Christmas lights, there's actually a lot of people in different trades that are intrigued by it because they're like, man, I boom, but then November, December, January, we're just slow. What do we do to go fill in those months, those dates? And Christmas lights is always one of those things. So, for those that are listening that have thought about Christmas lights, what advice can you give? I mean, obviously, they could reach out to you about your franchise opportunity. I think that's great, but just high level, what advice can you give? And, you could talk about the franchise a little bit too, or just kind of if they want to do it on their own, maybe some good pointers for them.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. That's a great question. There's many things along the way that we would do. There's something very practical, tangible. 15-inch spacing on your C9 lights is less expensive than 12-inch spacing, and you cannot tell the difference.
interesting.
And so it's just that's a very nuanced piece of advice, but it is a piece of advice that will save them 20%, 25% on their inventory.
Interesting.
And so that is something that tangibly off the bat, don't do any 12-inch spacing, only do 15-inch spacing across the board. We just made that decision and just don't buy anything else. When you look at your SKUs within your inventory, when you look about inventory management, if you're looking to just make six figures, $100,000 in lights, that's not very hard to do.
Yeah.
When you look to scale to 7, when you look to break that $1 million mark, there's a lot of growth that has to happen, right? And one of them is inventory management. And so again, not being all things to all people. So defining out, this is the limited type of inventory we're going to carry. That's super helpful. That allows your marketing messages to be super clear. That allows you your qualified leads that are coming in because your marketing message is clear, because this is the type of work that we do. That's super consistent. That helps you on your inventory. Then you get to purchase inventory in a preseason purchase. You save some money there. And then the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago, right? The second best time is right now.
Yeah.
So anybody who's considering it, man, it is an incredible industry. There is an unbelievable amount of opportunity out there that if you will just do business the right way, if you will answer the phone, if you will show up when you say you're going to show up, if you're charged what you say you're going to charge, and if you actually show up to take down the lights, you will be successful in this industry.
Yeah. I agree.
You will. It will shock you
Yeah.
how often we will get calls November and December and get quotes. And because we're a commercial facing organization, our pricing model is a little bit higher typically than your average chuck in a truck. Now, the quality materials we're using, the quality installation is second to none. And we stand on that. But our pricing reflects that.
Yep.
It reflects the $3 million insurance policy that we carry, right? It reflects the type of industry that we have, the type of quality of work that we do. With that, we consistently get folks that call us in January and February, and they say, hey, I worked with my local landscaper. I saw one of the random yard signs and some guy came and put up lights. And now I can't get him to call back. He's disconnected his number. I can't get him to come take down the lights. Can y'all please come help me? We always do that after we've already got all of our other customers down and stored. and prepared. We always leave some time to be able to help other people in our community do that, because every single year that happens. Um, the next piece of advice that I would give, kind of in summary, is really vet the location that you're getting your materials from. If you're looking to be just another number and you're looking to just be a kind of low cost entry, I've got staff, I've got customers, I just want a little bit of revenue, then buy stuff on Amazon, buy stuff at your local landscape supply store, buy stuff from Home Depot. If you're not, and you want to build something of quality that you can break into the commercial space, that you can break into some of these big brands like we've gotten in touch with, that we service now in multiple locations, you really you rise and fall on the quality of your materials and the quality of your installation.
Yeah, I agree
And
with you.
so by doing those little things, it makes a dramatic difference.
Yeah,
And
I'm a big.
over the years,
I
good.
was gonna say I'm a big proponent of you got to find differentiators in your business, right? Like what makes you different, and especially with decorations and lights, especially if you're going after commercial. I think spend more money on decorations, spend more money on high quality lights, because especially commercial, they don't want the Amazon crap that you're talking about, you know. So
Yeah, we one of the best decisions we made our first year in business, and it's because we didn't physically get burned, but it felt like getting burned. We installed some commercial material, some customer materials, and the previous provider, they sold them cheap materials. We didn't have a clue where they bought them from. We didn't have a clue how they installed them, prepared them, took them down, stored them, and we just said, "Yeah, we've got some time in our schedule. We'll come help you." And that was a gigantic mistake.
yeah,
And so
just toss it all right.
we have just, yeah, just throw it all away and do it again.
Yeah,
And so we've really intentionally, as an organization, the kind of last piece of advice I'll end on is know your messaging. One of our messaging is quality. And so for us, that is, we don't install custom materials. We just don't.
love it.
And we've lost business because of that.
Yeah,
And that's okay. We're not all things to all people.
yeah,
Not everyone is our customer. And the more that we get okay with that, a mentor of mine says there's riches and niches. And the more that we kind of niche down, the better that we serve that demographic, the more successful we are, the more profitable we are. It's a lot of fun.
can't be all things to everyone, and like you said, the riches are in the niches. Really got to focus on who your ideal client is, who your ideal client persona is. If you try to make everyone happy, then you're not making. Yeah, you're gonna piss off some people, right? So, we're
Sure.
so Matt, this has been super insightful. I really love our conversation. I love everything we've been chatting about. I do like to end with a couple of last questions. So
Sure.
if you had to choose a business book that's been super influential for you in your life, a book, game changer, what would that one book be? Business book.
Man. Um, I'm an avid reader.
Okay.
Before we sold our house and went on the road. So if you're watching this, not just listening to it, I'm in our camper right now because we're on the road as a family, which is so fun. And we're traveling the country. We've been to 14 national parks from this in the last couple of months, and been amazing. I have pretty avid reader. One of the ones that I always go back to in my messaging is Simon Sinek, Start With Why.
I love it.
There's a bunch that I could give out there, but Simon Sinek, Start With Why. If you don't like to read, go type in Simon Sinek, Start With Why, and look up his TED Talk, and that's a good summary of the book. Um, that book radically changed the way that I communicate.
I love it. It's amazing. Yeah, it probably helps with dealing with employees, team members, customers, franchisees, everything, right?
Yeah.
Um, if you had to choose one business mentor, alive or dead, that you could go spend a day with, who would it be and why?
Truett Cathy, without a doubt. We have the opportunity to work with a bunch of their operators and their corporate office, and just the way that man led, the stories that I hear from around his life, it inspires me to serve in a high integrity, high caliber way.
What was that name again? Kathy?
Truett Cathy.
Truett
Yeah,
Cathy.
the
Truett Cathy.
the founder of Chick-fil-A.
Okay. It's great. It's yeah, I'm actually not very familiar with him. I'm very familiar with the Chick-fil-A story, but I think it'd be really interesting to go dive into his story.
He's got a couple of great books. I almost said one of his books, right? He's got some great
Yeah.
ones that he wrote before he passed.
Check it out.
And it's a great story.
Love it. Well, hey, we really appreciate your time. I mean, obviously, it's been great. I think this is great info for our listeners to be able to participate and understand who you are, what you're about, the franchise you're building. Now, if any of them are interested to maybe check into your franchise, engage more, check out your podcast, how can they get more of you, Matt?
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Our website is lightingprosfranchise.com or thelightingpros.com. Either one of those places, you can get in touch with our team. My website's matthewefird.com. You can find me on all social media, Matthew Efird. And I'd be honored to help any way that I can. My podcast is Pillars of Purpose Podcast. Again, we talk about faith, family, and business. One of those three every week. And it's really a lot of fun. Have folks like you on and just get to pick their brain, right? It's he who walks the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fool suffers harm. And so the more that I can surround myself with wise people, and that's what I've got to try to do on that podcast.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I think we're actually slated to be on there in a few weeks, so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Looking forward to having
one that's in our audience wants to see. You can catch us over there. And yeah, I just love who you are, what you're about, and whatever way we can help promote you, we'd love to do that. Whatever we can add value, love to do that as well.
Appreciate it.
Aside from that, guys, thank you again for joining us. Another episode of Service Contractor Allstar Podcast brought to you by Motion Ops. If you appreciate what we've done, what we've been adding as far as value, please go give us a like, go give us a 5-star review on whatever platform we're on. That way more people can hear the content that we're sharing to help you guys go grow your businesses. Thanks again. We'll see you.